Oscar Pistorius is set to stand trial for the murder of Reeva Steenkamp, and the whole country will be watching. We're joined by criminal law expert William Booth, who's going to talk us through what we should expect in the coming days. What will the state's priority be?
Well, I think we know throughout, right from the very beginning, when the bail hearing took place, that the state is going to try and prove premeditated murder, or that the murder was planned. Now, in South African law, there really isn't anything like planned or premeditated murder. But where it becomes important is if the state can establish that somebody not only intended to kill somebody else, but they'd planned it, either themselves or with other people. And why it's important is because in South African law, we have the minimum sentence legislation, which was promulgated some years ago. And that is where the court has to decide whether it was planned or premeditated. Because if it was planned or premeditated, and that's been proven by the state, then that could lead to the judge imposing life imprisonment. So that's where it becomes important. So that's what the state is going to try and do. And they would have to lead evidence to try and establish that. But I've believed throughout, and I've said this before, that it's going to be difficult because nobody can come to court and tell everybody that Oscar had tried to arrange this beforehand. In other words, that he'd asked other people to do it together with him, or he'd gone and got the firearm somewhere and told everybody, I'm going to shoot Reeva when I've got the opportunity, or he'd got in his car and gone to a place where she might have been. So in other words, there's got to be evidence indicating that it was planned or premeditated, which is pretty much the same. But there are no witnesses who are going to say that. So the court will have to look at what evidence the state can present. And the court can draw inferences, what we call circumstantial evidence. So no direct evidence. There's no witness who's going to come along and tell everybody, well, you know, this was planned. I know we spoke about it beforehand, and Oscar was telling us all along he wanted to kill Reeva. There's none of that evidence. So they've got to look at, you know, what took place. Can planning, in fact, be where you together with somebody and then something happens, there's an argument, and that person leaves the room, and then within a few seconds, you do the planning. But that's difficult to prove because there was nobody there except Oscar and Reeva. And Oscar is the only person who can actually say what took place. So I think the state is going to struggle to be able to prove planned or premeditated murder. They might say, well, look, there were 4 shots fired, or the angle of the shots, try and bring in forensic evidence on that to say that it was in some way planned beforehand, or there was some form of planning. But I think that, you know, I believe they're going to struggle to kind of establish that. Certainly beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the test in our law. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt. There's no onus on an accused person to come and convince the court that he's innocent, none at all. Some courts in some countries, you know, obviously follow a different kind of law, as it were, where an accused person may have to establish that he's innocent. But certainly in South Africa, in the United States, United Kingdom, to name but a few, the test is beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal case.